Today we're going to go over exponential functions. So at the top of your paper, if you would write y equals a times b to the x power. Okay, who can tell me what the a represents? The starting amount. It is also the y-intercept, because the y-intercept is the starting amount. And you're going to be asked that question a lot on this assignment. Okay, the b is what? The growth or decay factor. Remember that if it's growth, it has to be greater than 1. And if it's decay, it'll be between 0 and 1. Does everybody remember that? To get the b, if they give you a percent, you have to change it to a decimal. And if it's growth, you do 1 plus your percent. And if it's decay, you do 1 minus your percent. Does everybody remember that? Okay. Now, here's the problem with exponential functions. If you are asked to write an equation, STAAR will work most of the time, but for some reason, sometimes it's not working. If it is a exponential function that's below the x-axis, it's just not working. It's giving me an error. So I'm going to teach you all how to do it by hand, and I've already taught you that with geometric sequencing, so you already know how to do it. But basically this one, was it this one? One of these, it was this one, it would not work. Okay, so it says the table represents some points on the graph of an exponential function. So right there, that's telling you what you're going to do. It says write the function, and a function is an equation. So anytime you have a table and it's asking you to write an equation or a function, STAAR will work, except on some of the exponential functions. So just try STAAR. So everybody go to STAAR, edit. I think this one did work. So we put in -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. And then 1, 3, 9, 27, and 81. And then we're going to go to Stat Calc option. What option would I choose? 0. And it will write the function for you. So there is your A, there is your B. And then remember the r's are diagnostics, which you don't need for this. So just y equals 3 times 3 to the x power. So let's talk about what this means. What is this number telling us? That's the starting amount, also known as the y-intercept. So everybody look right here. Do y'all see the y-intercept? Isn't a y-intercept where x is 0? Yes or no? Okay. And then what is this number telling you? The growth factor. Now, how did they get that number? Let's say the calculator didn't write it for us. All they're doing is saying to get from one term to the next, they're multiplying by 3. So could you have written this without the calculator? Yes. You just take the y-intercept. That's that. And then you take what it is being multiplied by. All right, so let's try this one in our calculator, and then you're going to see it doesn't work. So everybody go to Stat, Edit. And I'm sure there's a way to figure out how to do it. I honestly just don't know. Okay, so if I go to Stat Calc option 0, it doesn't want to answer. It doesn't want to do it for me. It says the errors with the domain, which means the x's. Like, I don't know why. Okay, so you're just going to have to do it by hand because I don't have an answer for y'all. It's also saying that you need to do something with the tangent and stuff, which that's trigonometry, and I don't know how to do it in the calculator. So all I'm going to tell y'all is if it won't work, you need to find the y-intercept to get the A. Well, do you see the y-intercept right here? Yes, this is your y-intercept, so that's your A. So my answer is going to be y equals -2. To get the B, all you have to do is figure out what are they multiplying by to get to the next term. To do that, you can simply divide. What is -2 divided by -8?
4.
-2 divided by -8 is not 4. It's a fourth. Right, no. Yes, it's a fourth. Now, check and make sure that's the same all the way across. What is -8 divided by -32? It's a fourth. So because it's a geometric sequence, right? And the B is a fourth. And it would just be raised to the x power. Remember that the x also represents the time. I forgot to put that up here. So if y'all want to put the x as the time for word problems, you might need to know that. Okay, questions on that? Are y'all okay? Anybody? Okay, so let's do number 3. It says an exponential function is graphed. Write the function. So again, they're wanting that y equals a times b to the x power. To write it, you need a y-intercept. Can y'all see the y-intercept right here? So that's your a. So y equals -3. To get the b, you've got to figure out what they're multiplying by. So what I did was I made a table. And I said, okay, the table is going to be at 0, -3. And the next point, now you can't just go pick any point. You've got to use the next point. So 1, -9. So then you're asking yourself, how did they get from -3 to -9? What did they multiply by? +3. So if you don't know, you just say, what is -9 over -3? So you take the second one, put it over the first one, and you get +3. And that's your answer. Oops. Okay, any questions on that? Anybody? Okay, so we're going to do, let me see what else I want to do with y'all. Let's do number 6. Let's do number 6. It says, Pablo deposited $12,500 into a bank account that earns 1.25% interest compounded annually. Write a function that models how much money he would have in his account after X years. So we need a y equals a times b to the x power. Okay, what is the a? The starting amount. How much money is he starting with? 12,500. So I have y equals 12,500. Now, to get my b, I have the percent. What do I have to change it to? And then I'm either saying, am I going to subtract from 1 or am I going to add to 1? Well, he's investing his money, right? So he's going to get more in the end because he's investing it. So the money's going to grow, so it's exponential growth. So I'm going to change this to a decimal, which is 0.0125. That's his rate he's getting. And I'm going to add that to 1. So 1 plus 0.0125. And then I just put that in my calculator to get my final answer. So my final answer is y equals 12,500, 1.0125 to the x power. Do y'all understand why we added in that one? Even though it did not say increases, I had to know that it was going to increase because he is depositing his money. Oh, it does say earns. He earns. So that would help you know it's going to increase. Okay, let's do number 8. The amount of inventory a manufacturing company has in a warehouse decreases at a rate of 8% each month. The company originally had 14,000 items in their inventory. Write the exponential function that models the amount of inventory left after m months. So they don't want us to use x as our variable. They want us to use what? M. Okay, so how am I going to write this? I need y equals a, and the a needs to be the starting amount. So how much are they starting with?
14,000.
So y equals 14,000. And then it's decreasing. So am I going to add or subtract from 1? So I'm going to have 1 minus the percent, but the percent needs to change to a, how do I change this percent to a decimal? Move the decimal 2 places to the left, right? So that's 1 minus 0.08, and they want me to use the exponent m. Okay, and then I just put that in my calculator and get my final equation, which is y equals 14,000 times 0.92 to the m power. Okay, if you would flip to the back. I'm only going to do one more with y'all, and we're going to talk about the asymptote because we haven't talked about an asymptote in a while. So let's do number 9. Number 9 says determine the values of the graph for this graph. First of all, is this exponential decay or growth? Why is it decay? Because the b is less than 1. Okay. What is the y-intercept? Remember, the y-intercept is the starting amount. 1/4. What is the asymptote? Do y'all remember what an asymptote is? So when you graph an exponential function, it looks like this, right? It starts to curve like this. It is the line that the exponential function approaches but never touches. In Algebra 1, it's almost always the x-axis. Did y'all hear what I said? It is almost, so look right here. Do you see how this line's approaching that x-axis, but it's never going to touch it? How would you write an equation for the x-axis? Right here, this line. What axis is it crossing through? The y-axis. So it would be y equals, where's it crossing through at? 0. So the x-axis, if you were to graph a line on it, has an equation of y equals 0. So your asymptotes are almost always y equals 0. But if you want to check them, you could go put this in your calculator. So I would go put in 1/4 times 1/2 raised to the x power. Hit graph, and then you can see that it is approaching the x-axis. It's never touching it. It looks like it's touching it, but it's not. So that is, this line right here is y equals 0. So that is your asymptote. Okay, I think those were the only ones I was going to go over with y'all. If you have any questions, let me know. But you may get started now.